are you? How's your family? How's that wart on your foot? Is it still there? You should have gotten that removed a while ago. Mr. T-Rex can be our companion today. All the households that we're playing with, we are very much overdue. Much has happened. Isn't that right, Mr. Rex? He's a guest. He's a guest. But this is the Goth household. Very nice, very nice. I gave them an archery set down here because I felt like Alexander is definitely the type to be interested in artistry. Alexander Goth, this is my Alexander Goth. He's a grown-up now. He's actually working as a psychologist, both as a small business and as an actual career. So he is the head of this household. This is the top floor. It's been converted into like an ensuite, like a in-law suite. The middle floor is currently being renoed, and this is the bottom floor, which I have already renoed, and I'm very happy with this renovation. I very much enjoy it. We have here the fainting chair so he can talk to his clients. But Alexander has his son, Ballwiner, and his daughter, Yulva, who very much is giving Cassandra Goth vibes. And it's very funny because his wife is actually abducted by aliens at the moment. She is nowhere to be seen. She's gone from reality. And there's actually a war going on in my game. So they're supposed to be coming out of their houses and like going to live somewhere else temporarily. Here's the beginnings of the graveyard. There's Mortimer. He also has his father-in-law living in here too, Eric Lewis. Eric moved in when he had a crisis and became separated from Alice, and then Alice died because of the war, and so now he's a widower here. And this is the Lewis's youngest daughter, so Alex's sister-in-law. I think she's a teen, yes, and I haven't given her a makeover yet. This is just what she looks like. But she's living with them now too because she was suddenly not orphaned, but the parent she was living with died, so she has to come live with her father, who's living with his son-in-law. I very much like what I'm doing with their house, so I hate that I'm having to evict them for war purposes, but they'll come back. Here is Olivia, by the way, Olivia Goth, formerly Kim Lewis. She is not living with them because, again, she was abducted by aliens. There's also Belinda Goth, which is Alex's little sister that Bella and Mortimer had. She has also been abducted by aliens and is missing, so all the Goth women vanishing to aliens, history repeating itself. Now we have our next family. This is Geoffrey Austere, formerly Geoffery Landgraab. He went back to his old name. He lives in this nice big house that I got off the gallery, and he works as a publisher. He works in publishing. He used to be a secret agent, but he calmed down and became in publishing after he became a family man. This is his new wife, Holly Austere, who's a townie that was randomly generated. Oh, they're having marital troubles, as you can see. This is their daughter, Marie. They also have another daughter who's in boarding school, and they have a son that is currently fighting in the war right now. But this is Marie's daughter that she just had. Marie is a teenager. She had a teen pregnancy. They don't know where they're landing with that yet, because she's not happy with the father right now. Now, this household is a bit of a personal household, because this is me. That is me myself, as a human. I like having myself in my rotation, because I think that is fun. I'm also the bookstore keeper, because I like when my Sims write books, I like them to make copies of them, and then they give them to my Sim, and my Sim puts them in a retail store so all my Sims can actually purchase books that other Sims have written. My Sim and his family live in the house that came with Paranormal. It's a haunted house. I added a little extension to it. This is his wife, Candace, formerly Candy Behr. This is Candy Behr. She goes by Candace now since she's a mom. This is the oldest daughter, Harvest, the villainous Valentine aspiration. This is Norville, who is actually the father of Marie Austere's child that we just saw, so he is currently in trouble. We have another son, Carson, who is currently somewhere else, and we'll see where he is later. But then there's also the youngest, Xanthus, whose thing right now is wearing raincoats, and that's his personality at the moment. Newcrest, for the most part, I'm trying to turn into a commercial area where it's mostly commercial venues, but there is a few residential areas in here as well. So this is my very veggie sim, Brock Oliver Patch, or Brock Ollie Patch, if you will. He's an artist, he's the son of farmers, and I was originally playing with him in a different save file. He was making pretty good with his business, but then he ended up having an affair with one of his wealthy patrons. So he had to, that became a whole thing, and he had to skedaddle out of town. So now he's starting from the ground up again in this town, and he's got this nice little shabby little place here. There's several women that live in this house right here that are potential love interests. And then in this big house down here, we have the Lothario family. I think it's one of my favorite families I've ever played because there's so much dynamic happening here. So obviously Don Lothario lives here. This is Don, and he is married to Cassandra Goth, now Lothario. Don has given up his flirtatious ways. He now only has eyes for Cassandra. They're super in love with each other. Don's taken up art, and he's really passionate about art, and Cassandra teaches music lessons out of their house. But they're really very poor. They get to live in this big house because this big house was gifted to them by Bella and Mortimer after they got married. So they have hard times making ends meet, and Dawn's art and her music lessons aren't quite making it. So Dawn, without telling Cassandra, is actually in the criminal career in order to make things meet. And Cassandra also has a secret she's keeping from Dawn, because she found a secret basement, and this is an old family home with some occult things in here. And so she comes down here and she practices occult stuff without telling him. But the reason she's doing that is because all of the women in her family that's been abducted by aliens, she's convinced there's some sort of family curse, because obviously older members of her family, some sort of ancestors, were into some sort of occult stuff down here. So she's practicing with the occult, seeing if she can figure out what's going on. But they are really cute. They're soulmates. I'm gonna take a picture of them right now, actually. But they're a very nice couple. They're like the new Bella and Mortimer, kind of. They're obsessed with each other. Their kids, however, are not obsessed with them. They have 3 kids. We have TBD6 Lothario, who is an alien child that Dawn had before meeting Cassandra. And Cassandra, from her previous marriage, has Loretta Norville and Sylvester Norville. TBD is very sweet. Everyone loves him. The kids love him. His siblings love him. Dawn loves him. Cassandra loves him. Everyone loves him. He's the glue holding the family together. But Cassandra has not been a very good mom. Dawn is a good dad to TBD. He's not really interested in being Cassandra's children's dad, so they're very neglected, and they pretty much hate everyone, really. They even hate each other. They don't like each other. They hate everyone. I think Loretta actually has the evil trait. Bella Goth also lives here. She returned from being abducted by aliens. And she lives here because she's trying to get, now that Mortimer is dead, she's trying to get connected with her family after being away from them for so long when she was abducted, and she was put through like a time wormhole. So she's actually much younger now than both Cassandra and Dawn. She's still a young adult, I believe. Yeah, she's halfway through young adulthood. Dawn and Cassandra are like nearing elderdom. But she's here, she's trying to help with her grandkids. She's also works as a museum curator because she's trying to discover the Bella Bachelor within and who she is now without Mortimer. But there's also a live-in nanny, Annabelle Flex. She's the live-in nanny. She takes care of the kids. She and Bella do not like each other because Bella does not like the fact that there's a nanny, because Bella is a family-oriented sim and she does not like how Dawn and Cassandra handle their children, and she thinks having a nanny just separates them all the more. She also feels threatened because she feels like the grandma is living in the house now, so you don't need a nanny. But they insist on keeping the nanny. Plus, Dawn and Cassandra are poor, and Bella knows it, so it frustrates Bella that they're not very good with money, apparently. But what no one in this household knows is that Annabelle is actually Dawn's daughter. She doesn't know that, and he doesn't know that. But she's his daughter from his original Don Lothario phases. So they haven't discovered that yet. I'm waiting for her to develop a family dynamic with one of the household members. But, like, that's just something that they don't know yet. And they live in this house. I got this house off the gallery. It's like a spooky fixer-upper. And I've been slowly renovating it. Not very much, because they're not supposed to have a lot of money. So here in Windenburg, we have the boarding school. So this is Travis Scott, who is the headmaster of Dahl Boarding School. Dahl Boarding School. It's named after Roald Dahl. This is his wife, Emily, who I think is the daughter of the Fangs. There's a little bit of an age gap between them. But she is actually a lawyer, or she was, and they met because he was fighting for the custody of an adopted child, and she was the lawyer. He ended up not being able to keep the child, and she went through a big depressive stage, and still kind of is in a depressive stage, because that failure, it made her, she quit her job as a lawyer, and she broke up with him. He won her back over a camp, a kids camp that he convinced her to help him run. But he's helping her through that while he teaches the kids. The boarding school is for kids and for teenagers. It's mostly teenagers at the moment. We have Josephine Munch down here, who is the daughter of Wolfgang Munch. We have Luz Lopez, who's apparently sad from having a mood swing. But Josephine did have a brother who was here too, Odin Munch. But he is also missing, along with Carson, and we'll see what's happening with them later. But then there's also Vivian Austere, who is Jeffrey Austere's other daughter that I mentioned. Oh, and there's a baby. I forgot about the baby. Travis and Emily just had a baby, so that is their baby. And this is the boarding school. I got it off the gallery. Moving on to the Alto family, we actually get to see the child that he was not able to keep. So obviously we have Nick Alto. I did not make him. I got him from the gallery. We also have his famous daughter, Holly Alto, who has the same relationship you would expect from them. We also have Chester Landgraab, who is the child that Travis was fighting for custody of. So Nick is actually Travis's boss. Nick owns the boarding school. Travis is the headmaster, but Nick owns it, and so he is his boss, and they have a bit of a strained relationship. Chester is the daughter of Malcolm Landgraab and Summer Holiday, and the whole Landgraab family basically all fell apart, because basically everyone poisoned each other, and then the mansion got burned down. So the Altos and the Landgraabs have been, when Nick realized that the Landgraab fortune was up for grabs, sort of, he wanted custody of the children so he could snatch away the Landgraab fortune. It's inspired by a series of unfortunate events, if you can't tell. So once Chester ages up, he supposedly will be able to snatch the Landgraab fortune by himself, and then who knows what will happen to Chester after that. But Chester also has a twin sister and an aunt who is the youngest daughter of Nancy Landgraab, who are currently on the lam right now, so we'll see what happens with that, because they might also end up ruining his plans. But as for these other people, we have Braylee Alto. Who's she the daughter of? Clara and Bjorn Burgesson. She's the daughter of them. The Burgessons lost all their money, and so she's determined to make the money back. Currently, her plan was to marry a wealthy man and then get divorced from him, so she's not really interested in Nick. Nick really likes her, but she's not interested in Nick. She's only with him for his money. She did convince him to marry him. Then they had Doina, their daughter, so that made things more complicated, because now she can't just up and divorce him like she wanted him to. So she has decisions to make there. And she also has her little brother Franklin. Brayley and Franklin have a very close relationship. Franklin is also related to the Landgraab family as well. Nick really does not like Franklin, but he keeps Franklin around for Brayley. And Franklin is also kind of secretly working against Nick to get the Landgraab fortune, mainly for the sake of the kids, because the children are sort of his family in a way. Then on Henford on Bagley, we get to see what happened to the sister and the aunt that are currently on the lam. So this is Ivory Landgraab, who is the aunt, and Rosalind Landgraab, who is Chester's twin sister. As soon as they started getting whiff that Nick Alto was out to get them, they ran away. Chester did not have the guts to go with them, so that is how he ended up in his situation. But they ended up in the wilderness for a few days until Christopher Volkov took them in his original house, and he was kind of taking care of them there and like teaching them skills and stuff. But Moonwood Mill is actually pretty much the center of where the war is happening right now. So Christopher banded up with the rest of the werewolves in Moonwood Mill in order for them all to buy a house together in Henford on Bagley so they could escape but still have a nice secluded area to live. So that's what's currently happening. But the girls are both about to turn teenagers. I think next time I play with them, yes. They're going to turn to teenagers, and I might have them cut ties with the werewolves then, because I have a werewolf storyline in mind. So I'm trying to separate the non-canonical werewolves, but they are currently in hiding from Nick Alto and living a much more simpler life than they used to in the Landgraab mansion. What's funny about them is that Rosalind has the evil trait and Ivory has the good trait, but they can't seem to really ever hate each other. They get along very well, even though they fight all the time. They're like best friends, and I've tried to make them hate each other, but they will not hate each other. They are bonded. For Henford on Bagley, I've been hankering to play medieval fantasy style, so rather than creating a whole new save file, I think my plan is to slowly over time have Henford on Bagley become this giant like medieval roleplay area where Sims who just want to live medievally will just live here, and then expand from there if I want to continue having like mythical fantasy-based gameplay. So now we're in Moonwood Mill, which is exciting for various reasons. So we have the fighting boys here, which this is the military area. So this is where all of the Sims who are fighting in the war come to live. So this is the military barracks, again from the gallery. So I have them all practice archery and boxing, and then a couple of them are scientists that work on building rockets and such. First of all, we have Wolfgang Munch here, who's an adult. He's currently engaged to Zoe Zest, and he has his 2 children in boarding school. At least he thinks he does. One of them's been kidnapped recently. Marvin Norville, who is a townie that is Cassandra. He is Cassandra Goth's first husband, and he's the father of her 2 children. Corporal Pegasus, who's a townie that has become a main character recently from marriage, and he's married to Elsa Bergeson, who's waiting for him at home. We also have Jacob Volkov. We have Conrad Lewis, who was definitely drafted and did not intend to be here, but he was drafted. He's the son, Eric Lewis's husband. No, he's the Spencer Kim Lewis family. Yeah. Corey Nyhouse, who is from the Business and Hobbies pack. Rory Oaklove. And Quintus, who is Geoffrey and Holly's son. And I do death rolls and namage rolls for them. I have a little Google Doc where I keep track of what roles do what, but they get promotion roles, which is why some of them are like corporal and some of them are major, and some of them don't have a rank. Now, the war was actually started by aliens. The aliens were warmongers that started this war up as a cover for some science experiments that they wanted to do on Earth. And that is happening up here. And quite a few of our Lost Boys are down here as well. So here in what used to be the Volkov's house, it has been transformed by Nina and Dina Caliente, the aliens, into a science lab underneath it, where they have kidnapped a bunch of teenage boys and are trying to turn them into werewolves. Carson Callahan, which is my Sim's son that is missing presently. Odin Munch, who is at boarding school, but he is currently missing. We also have Nyan Spectre, Imram Watson, and we have Gerald Zest, who is Johnny Zest's son. Keep them in this cage and they do experiments. And they have a few other alien friends that they come from Neptune, and they bring the boys into here. So far, they have successfully turned Gerald into a werewolf, but they haven't done any of the other ones yet. He's got a moon and star tattoo on his chest, and that means he's been turned into a werewolf. So now we go from the war-riddled Moonwood Mill to San Sequoia, which is canonically, in my head, the furthest away from all of the war. So this is like a safe place. Elsa Burgesson and Clara Burgesson live here. Over there, I recently removed them from the rounds, and Johnny Zest widow and his sister lives there. But up here in this space, we have the Pancakes household. Is the Pancakes house. We have Bob Pancakes here. He's very much gotten his life together. He divorced Eliza and he remarried Liberty Lee, who's now Liberty Pancakes. And they have a son, Waffles, very waffly, and they've adopted two sons, twins, Atlas and Axis. Bob also has an older son that he had with Eliza that we're about to see in a minute, and he and his son Axel actually run a little cafe together. Not a cafe, not a cafe. What am I thinking? He's running like a little Waffle House type of ordeal with his oldest son, and they ended up adopting these two children because they did want more children, and they didn't think they could have more children at their age because they are nearing elderdom. But it was also an old family friend who had children that could not at the time take care of more children, so they adopted them. And we're going to see their mother in just a second too, because this is a very intermingled thing happening here. Oh, Axel is actually here at the venue. This is like a venue. This is in Newcrest, and there's several different things happening here, but this right here is where their shop is. So this is their little breakfast coffee cafe place that they have. It's still a work in progress, but there's also, I'm planning on putting a tattoo shop next to them, and there's a movie theater right here. There's also an arcade connected to the theater. There's this party room in case I want to have my Sims have an elaborate birthday party, and there's a swimming pool as well. So I'm going to have Axel go home so we can see Axel's family. Here, just down the street from where Bob and Liberty live, lives his son Axel. Bob and Axel are very close. Axel just recently got married to Celeste Loon, who is a townie I got off the gallery. And he also has an adopted son that he adopted before he got married, Chi Yin. I got that backwards. So Chi Yin, his adopted son from China. But they've made a little family unit for themselves now. Axel's the official owner of Bob & Sons, which is their thing. There is actually more drama happening in this little neighborhood because Axel's ex-girlfriend's a strong term, but Axel's ex-best friend also lives on this street with them. So here in between the Pancakes house over there and the other Pancakes house over there somewhere lives Daphne Austere. Daphne is the daughter of Geoffrey and Nancy Landgraab. She was raised by Geoffrey. She was childhood best friends with Axel, but they kind of had a falling out. This is her daughter that she had with her ex-boyfriend, Zabel Austere, and she's also the mother of the twins, Axis and Atlas, that Bob and Liberty adopted. Because she was Axel's ex-best friend, and Liberty, when she could afford to keep Zabel, but she couldn't afford to keep the twins at the time, so she had to give them up, and Liberty insisted on them adopting it so that she could still be a part, they could still include her as part of the family. But she's had a very rough time. She also had cancer. She was very close to death with cancer, but she ended up getting rid of the cancer. So that was happened very recently. Her dad was taking care of her and her daughter up until this point. This little crummy lot is pretty much all she could afford to get them on their own, but she wanted to be able to get them something that they could live with. And because it is war times, she has a very hard time getting a job, so she actually managed to convince Axel to let her be an employee at his and Bob's restaurant, which is a little bit tense because she and Axel did have a falling out, and they have a little bit of romantic chemistry as well. And in fact, I believe they're soulmates. Yes, they're soulmates together. So Axel wanted to get together with her, but she was really mad at Axel because of things he did during their teenagerdom, and she was dating her boyfriend at the time. And now that she's kind of gotten over all that, now Axis, I don't remember his name, but he's married now that she's fully done with her boyfriend. So it continues to be an interesting, a very interesting relationship that she has with the Pancakes family. Alright, one more household in Innisgreen. I call this household Goth Fishing. So this is Gunther Goth. He is the youngest child of Bella and Mortimer, and he is kind of the black sheep of the Goth family. He is a bit of a hippie, a bit of a naturalist. He's currently living literally in the wilderness at the moment, just pure natural living skill. He and his siblings don't get along very well. He just he doesn't care about image or being like a part of anything. My brain is turning off after all of this talking. But Gunther basically just lives off natural living skill out here. I plan on him eventually owning a museum and being like an eclectic museum opener, but this is the phase of life he is in presently, is living off the land, being an embarrassment to his family, etc. I also plan on him being involved in a cult. He's going to be a museum curator, and he's going to be very involved in a cult. That is my plans for him, and that's pretty much it, basically. Right here we have Dishonored Doof. This is Edgar Goth. He is one of the 5 children of Bella and Mortimer. He was in the military, but he is currently a Dishonored Doof because he had a bit of a rivalry with one of the other military people in his unit, and they got into a tiff and into a fight, and he ended up shoving his rival into some electrical equipment and killing him accidentally. So he was banned from the military. So I need to figure out what I'm doing with him. I think I'm going to get him involved in the medieval roleplay thing. I gave Bob an extended family, so he has all of these Sims right here are Bob's siblings that I just made for him recently. And that's pretty much everything that is necessary. So this is the bookstore, which my Simself owns. It's got a pretty little garden in the front. On the inside, there are books which my Sims have written. There's not as many books as I wish there were, because we lost a lot of books to that same glitch that got rid of that blanked out all the pictures and paintings. So I kind of had to restart from scratch recently, but there's books that go all in here and on this shelf, and people can come in and buy them and my other Sims who didn't write the books can come by them. But that is pretty much everything, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Outro, 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 outro. I also have Chick-fil-A here, except I turned it to duck fillet. Yes,